Hello? Okay. Welcome guys. This is the next week. I don't remember what side. What week are we on here? So, the week 6. So again, if you're in the future, um, these dates are going to be different, but it's still going to be week 6 and 7, 8, 5, whatever. Sorry, I'm a little sick today, so working. I'm trying to work through this. So week 6, you've probably already clicked on that since you're watching this video. I'll replace this video with an up-to-date one. You can see this one was posted in 16. It may not actually be any different, so you've already watched that one. It doesn't, whatever. It might still be the same thing. I haven't watched it in a year, so I don't know. But anyways, for this week, start off by watching the paragraph structure. It looks like your big assignment this week is actually to write rough draft. So that's good because that means that writing project 2 is coming to a close, and that's always positive. I know everybody's always pretty happy whenever the essays are finally done. When you kind of have those interim weeks that are a little bit easier. So anyways, for this writing project here, I talk about actually how to develop it, how to start writing the actual organization, how to go from your organizational structure to having the paragraphs and making them work. And then the peer review process is kind of a review because you guys have already done a peer review, or excuse me, a peer review week. So this is kind of review there. Of course, these questions are what I suggest you use if you can't think of anything else to critique the person on, to critique the author. Because remember, you need 5 pieces of feedback, and that has to be constructive, meaning that you have to give them something to change. You can't say good job. You can't say this looks good or good thesis. It has to be here's something you can change to make your essay better. So the big thing there is change. If you give them 5 things to change, that's 5 pieces of constructive criticism. And so if you're reading the essay and you have trouble figuring out what to suggest, use these peer review questions because those are going to give you suggestions on things to look at. Now that isn't to say that some of the questions are, well, they're all kind of content based, but if you go through and say it says well, let's look at one real quick. So let's say you pull this up and you go to number 1, is the overall purpose of the essay or paper clear to you from the thesis sentence? And a lot of times you're going to say yes, but that's not a question you're going to want to look at unless they need some work. Because remember, you need five pieces of constructive criticism, 5 things that you can offer them to say, hey, change this about your essay to make it better. If the thesis doesn't need change, then that's probably not a good question for you to ask because that's not going to count towards your 5 constructive pieces of criticism. So anyways, go through these questions and find the ones that the author actually needs to work on. Otherwise, just skip them. And again, these are only suggestions. If you come up with 5 things just from reading the essay, and those 5 things are things that you just think they need to be changed anyways, then just use those. You don't even have to use questions. And then of course, week 6 reading. Let's see if there's anything special about this. This week we'll be on peer revisions for Writing Project 2 before you start. Looking over peers' essays, begin by reading about the revision process. Okay, so this is kind of a textbook version of what we already have here. That's on page 147 and 159. And then the section on actual feedback, which is 160. This one might be a good place to also kind of emphasize the importance of what we're doing here. So read both sections, of course, but this one's probably going to be a lot more pertinent to what we're actually doing. These sections will help explain. Okay, yeah. Just the reading, and then by the end of the week, make sure you turn in the rough draft. Next week, by next Wednesday or Thursday, you'll have to give your feedback to that. Excuse me. You'll have to give feedback to your peer. But step 1 right now is just to get the essay submitted. Once you do that, then you can start looking at somebody else's work, giving them 5 suggestions of feedback. But make sure well, you don't have to say have to, but I would say submit your essay first, especially since it's due first. You don't actually have to reply to any peers until next Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember the date. But in the next video, I will tell you that. So that's all it's for this week. Really just one big assignment, and then just a couple videos. Actually, kind of an easy week, especially if you already have the video or if you already have the essay structure. So anyways, see you next week.